I wanted to start out here with the Galaxy F phone from Samsung.
Yeah.
It was cool. I saw some articles on this of them folding the phone. Do you want to talk a little bit about it and when we can expect it?
Yeah, it was really neat actually. For some reason at work, I just happened to have a little lull where I could log on and watch them live broadcast, and I logged in after all their little preamble that they advertised before, and just in time to see the VP pull out. It looked like this little book, and the lights all went dim, and he opened it up and you saw this big picture just go, and it was really cool. And you could tell that actually it was in a camouflaged case. So basically, they're not showing the full design of the phone right now. They're just showing that it opens up like a book. So there were a few different designs that they were mulling around. The first one is actually where it's the opposite of a book, where the screen is on the outside and then it folds, but you still have the screen on the outside. And the advantage of that design is you only have one screen. But the disadvantage is your screen is on the outside when it's folded and prone to scratches and issues like that, because you can't really put Gorilla Glass on a foldable screen to protect it from scratches. So, I
Right.
mean, they talked about some of the materials that went into making it and how it's supposed to be scratch proof, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere as near as scratch proof as the typical regular phones that we have. So this one actually has two screens. So on the front screen, it's a 4.5-inch display, which is kind of small, like an old iPhone 4, maybe a little bit bigger. And it's 1960 by 840. And then you open it up, and it's a 7.3-inch screen, and it's 2152 by 1536. So it looked like a beautiful screen. It was neat when he showed the front, and it was on that little tiny screen. I was like, oh, that looks kind of lame. But then when he opened it up, as soon as he opened, it was like everything switched to the inside screen, and it could tell which screen you're looking at, and it would rotate, of course, like a regular phone would. So all intents and purposes, it looked pretty neat. I'm not sure if I would fork out for it. So here's the details. They're calling it the Galaxy F for Foldable.
Oh,
Foldable, not
but maybe not
affordable.
affordable, right?
That was not affordable. So it's going to release for 1,770 US dollars. Yeah, so super pricey. Comes out in March of 2019. Most likely it will be announced at CES 2019. But they're also going to be releasing the Galaxy S10 at the same time. So the Galaxy S10 most likely will come out in February, and then the Galaxy F, the foldable, will come out in March. So it'll be kind of this 1-2 Samsung punch early on in the year. So we'll see how that goes. Now, everybody's chasing the foldable phone. There was a really cheap working prototype that I saw online last week that was the outside one. And, you know, when it was open, it had this big crease in the middle, and it just looked junky and ugly. And I was like, that is not something I'd want to buy. And apparently LG is going to be showing their version of a foldable phone also at CES. So Samsung's not necessarily going to be the first, but the prototype we saw last Wednesday looked pretty slick to me.
I have so many questions. First of all, it looked really thick to me. Like it looked
Yes.
like you couldn't slip it in your pocket. Like it looked
Yeah.
like a cereal box. You know, it was so big.
He did pull it out of his pocket, though, which is cool. So he was wearing a jacket. You didn't really notice like a big lump or anything. And he pulled it out, and it kind of reminded me of when Steve Jobs brought
Yeah,
out the first MacBook Air. Remember when he did
out
that?
of the
And
manila envelope. Yeah.
yeah, out of the manila tag envelope. It was like your inter-office mail envelope. And we all went, oh, you put a laptop in there. That's amazing. So Samsung kind of did the same thing. But yeah, it looked like a thick book. But what's interesting is that was actually the camouflaged case. So I'm actually expecting this to look a little bit sleeker, a little bit sexier. And if you look at the patents that Samsung has, It's got a neat looking hinge on the patent, so I'm expecting it to look a little bit more like the Microsoft Pros, like the actual laptops, where their hinges are a little bit more wider and bigger. So, we'll see how it looks, but it can't be that thin in your pocket because it's a folded phone.
Right. So talk to me more about the hinge. How are they going to get away with that and not have a crease down the middle?
I don't know, Dan. I don't know. And maybe that's why they went with the inside screen instead of the outside screen. But from the patent I saw, it actually, the hinge looked like it had two functional moving parts. So it's like a flat part in the middle, and then a hinge on this side, and then a hinge on the other side. And so it looks like it actually folds in two different spots to kind of protect it and keep it from having that lump in the middle or crease.
I hope everyone's watching on YouTube and seeing Matt's hand
Hands.
gestures. It folds like this.
Hey, Macarena.
Okay. So is this something that you would buy?
No, not a first gen, and I don't think many people will. I don't think Samsung's even expecting many people to buy this very first gen device. I think everybody's still trying to figure out what's it for, how useful is it going to be. But if you look at a lot of things, like the very first VR that came out was super clunky, and it's getting slimmed down. So I think that as this device comes out, and people are going to start using the device, and then the form factor will get tweaked for uses that people are needing it for. So first gen, no. Maybe a third or fourth gen, depending on if the price comes down and if I actually see a use to having a bigger screen like that. But until then, I'm going to stick with my phablet.
Okay, that sounds great. I think one use I could see for me is using the front screen every day, and then when I lie down, maybe watching Netflix on the bigger screen.
Yeah, I mean, that real estate's useful. Professionally, in my work that I do, I often pull up drawings, pictures, isometrics. I pull them up on my phone, and having that screen real estate is really important. You can always zoom in and zoom in, but having that bigger picture is useful professionally. So I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this. But is it worth 1700?
1700.
Yeah.
No.